Guess we're going to put all the other tools on now, too, I think is the next move. Yeah, I think so. I think that's the next move. Let's see. Okay, we've got these guys. What the heck? Did that break or something? I don't know. I'll have to look at that.
Welcome back, everyone, to part 17 of our Puma build. Today, we're focusing on adding some serious character to the hull and turret with sponge chipping to capture that rugged, worn-in look. We'll also be securing the Pioneer tools and finishing off the jerry cans for that added field authenticity. Let's dive in and bring more life to this build. The Pioneer tools on the Sdkfz.234/2 Puma served critical functions for the vehicle and its crew in challenging environments. Mounted externally for easy access, the standard toolkit included essentials like a spade, pickaxe, and wire cutters. These tools allowed the crew to clear paths, dig defensive positions, cut through obstacles, and handle minor repairs. Each tool was stored securely with metal clasps or leather straps, blending into the camouflage pattern of the Puma.
I guess that goes there.
In a scale model, these Pioneer tools provide a fantastic opportunity for adding realistic wear and detailing.
So this, I think we'll use the crazy glue.
Fire extinguishers. The Puma was equipped with 2 fire extinguishers mounted on the fenders for easy access in emergencies. These extinguishers were cylindrical, with a hand grip mechanism on top, making them practical for the crew to grab and activate quickly. Typically painted the same color as the vehicle's camouflage for concealment, their handles or release mechanisms might feature a slightly different finish or color to indicate use.
I think I'm going to use this glue instead. Change my mind. CA can be a bit of an issue sometimes. So maybe I'll just see if I can do it with this stuff.
On the model, you can add a bit of metallic chipping on the release handles to show wear from handling and slight rust or dirt at the bottom, especially if you're depicting a vehicle that's seen extended service.
Not even close. Damn it. Shit. And we've got this ammo box that goes here. And we've got
the cleaning
these
rods for the Puma's 50mm L/60 gun barrel were essential for maintaining the functionality and accuracy of this main armament.
They go on like that.
Oh wait, no, they go like that.
The gun itself, a 50mm KWK 39 L/60, was a high-velocity weapon that required regular cleaning to avoid fouling and buildup of residue within the barrel. In a military vehicle like the Sdkfz.234/2 Puma, where reliability and precision were paramount, the cleaning rods were critical tools.
All right, and then we have one of these goes there. One of these goes there. Hmm.
The engine starter crank handle was an essential tool for early military vehicles, including the Sdkfz.234/2 Puma, because it provided a manual backup method for starting the engine.
Okay, so we got the shovel to put on here. So I have no idea where the bloody jack went. I'm gonna have to maybe I don't know. Shit. So this is not in the right place. I kind of thought it wasn't. Damn it. And then we got the axe. The axe goes right there. I think we got to put that bracket down first. This one can go here.
Unlike some of the tank modelers out there, I prefer to paint my tools separately, although in some cases it is not a hard and fast rule. It's usually a case-by-case situation.
And this one I need the bracket first.
But if possible, I do like to be able to paint them off of the vehicle so I can have actual access to all areas.
So you want to break up the surface of the sponge. You don't want it flat. So just going to pick away at it. Now, my dad used to build models and other things, and he had this tool, which I have now inherited as he has passed over the Rainbow Bridge, I guess is how they say. Anyway, so I'm going to dip this in some brown paint and do a little bit of rust or chips. First off, I'm going to make a little bit of a lighter yellow.
With this technique, it's actually a good way to sort of start off getting some chipping done. And what you can do is with this light chip that is supposed to be representational of the base color, it actually gives you a place where you can come back later with different tones or rust or whatever, bare metal or whatever level of chipping you've got going on there. So yeah, it's actually a useful tool. I did find it a little bit salt and peppery. It's kind of too, I'm not sure. Maybe I need to practice more, but for me, I actually really do prefer the hairspray technique for the most part. The sponge technique for paint chipping on scale models is a popular method to replicate the realistic wear and tear seen on military vehicles, airplanes, and other equipment. Here's how it's done and what to look for in the results. Materials needed is number 1, small piece of natural or synthetic sponge, such as a makeup sponge or sea sponge. Number 2, acrylic or enamel paint used for the chipping effect, tweezers or something similar to control the sponge, and for a palette or paper for dabbing excess paint. The step-by-step process is: number 1, choose your sponge. A natural sponge with an irregular texture is ideal because it produces random, organic patterns that mimic real chip paint. Cut a small piece, as this will give you more control and precision. Or in this case, I used a synthetic packing material that I ripped and tore to create the random organic pattern. Number 2, dip it in the paint. Lightly dip the sponge into the chosen paint. Opt for a dark rusty color if you're chipping metal, or another color appropriate to what might show beneath the paint layer on your model. 3, remove excess paint. Dab the sponge on paper or a palette to remove excess paint. You want only a small amount on the sponge, just enough to transfer color without smudging or flooding the surface. Number 4, apply to the model. Gently dab the sponge on areas of the model where chipping would realistically occur. These areas often include edges, corners, handles, steps, and surfaces prone to wear. Start with a light pressure. You can always add more chipping, but reducing it is harder. Number 5, layer gradually. Build up layers gradually to control the effect. You can vary the pressure or slightly rotate the sponge to vary the shapes of the chips, making it look more natural. Technical explanation and desired look. The sponge technique works because the texture of the sponge mimics the uneven, unpredictable wear seen in real-life chipping. When done effectively, it produces a randomized pattern that are more convincing than uniform or brush-painted chips. Number 1, texture. Realistic chipping has varied shapes and sizes. The sponge texture creates natural-looking wear by producing small, irregular marks. You're looking for shapes that feel random and varied to avoid a uniform, unnatural look. Number 2, edge definition. Well-defined edges on the chips give a sense of the paint flaking off, which mimics the layers of paint and primer being scraped down to the base. The chipping should appear sharp, but not overly harsh. Number 3, color depth. To achieve realistic depth, choose colors that represent different stages of wear. The base color of the chip could simulate bare metal or underlying primer, giving a sense of how the top paint layers have eroded over time. Number 4, realistic placement. Focus chipping on areas that would receive the most handling, scraping, and exposure, such as near crew access points or moving parts, or where dust and debris would commonly scrape the surface. By applying this technique with patience and observation, you can create a highly realistic chipped paint effect that brings your model to life and adds a level of historical authenticity.
Of course.
So one of the really useful things of this technique is you can see that I've got this lighter base color now, and it's sort of like peppered all over the place. This actually will help me come back in with the brush and add some primer color or rust color or whatever color I want without having to, purposely try and be random, which is, not that easy really. Like it's an old saying that you just cannot avoid mating a pattern when you try and do something randomly with a paintbrush. It's a good starting point for coming back in with the tip of a very fine brush and adding more details and layers. That's the thing about weathering. It's all about layers. Now, one thing I also want to mention is that I have come back later and I've taken away some of this stuff that I put on there. I've repainted areas with the base color or the camel color, as you'll see.
These came off for some reason. All right, well, you can see here, after using the VMS satin, that the sheen is way down on this now. And I thought a satin would be better than a flat. But yeah, it's definitely blended everything in. Plus, it's a protective coat for when I'm going to start doing some of the pin washes and whatnot. Not sure if I'm really liking the chipping technique. I think I much more prefer the hairspray technique because it just seems a little bit more random and a little bit more realistic looking. This is a little bit too spotty for me, and I don't really want to make big chips because these are relatively new vehicles. So I don't think a lot of paint chipping would be happening. Anyways, I am liking the way that sheen looks now. Before it was obviously shiny because of the decal treatment. But I think on top of this, I'll start doing the pin washes tomorrow once it's nicely dried. So this is why I don't really like these store-bought washes. You see how it's particulate? Like it's just turning into particles. Like that's not good. So they do have a shelf life, right? Where I can take oil paint out of the tube, See, and I can put some brown and a little bit of black. All right, I'm going to add these. These are little posts that were usually on the corners of all these vehicles. Now, all right, I was going to use these aftermarket ones. One just went flying. I was going to use these aftermarket ones, but there's not enough room properly with the base. There's like already some bolts there. See, that base is a little bit too small. So I think what we'll do is we'll actually use the ones that come with the kit. And these things are fragile as heck. So cleanup is going to be very...
As we turn our attention to the width poles on the Sdkfz.234/2 Puma, it's worth noting the essential function they served. These slender poles mounted at the vehicle's front corners and rear corners provided drivers with a better sense of the vehicle's total width. Especially crucial in the dense and often challenging terrain these reconnaissance vehicles were tasked to navigate. With visibility in armored vehicles already limited, these poles offered a simple yet effective way for drivers to gauge obstacles and tight passages, helping them maneuver the Puma more confidently in forests, narrow roads, and urban environments. In modeling these width poles, it's key to capture their slight bend and angle, and the fine details like the little ball at the top of the tip. These were often painted in white. Though seemingly minor in appearance, these width poles underscore the thoughtful design and adaptability of the Puma, engineered to support its crew in varied reconnaissance missions across front lines. As we add these to our build, they stand a testament to the practical considerations that went into the smallest aspects of this formidable vehicle's design. So I've got a little bit of the base color here, and I'm going around and I'm retouching some of the retaining straps and the tool clasps on these on-vehicle tools. And I'm also going back into the jerry can holders, and I'm painting those out with the base color as well. As we wrap up this phase of the Puma build, adding those finely detailed pioneer tools, applying sponge chipping for that authentic rugged hull and turret look, and carefully securing the jerry cans, the journey really starts to take shape. Every detail, every technique, whether it's the precision of the width pulls or the texture of those subtle chips, brings us closer to a true-to-life replica, steeped in the grit and wear of its era. Each step builds on the last, and as you've seen, there's no rushing perfection here, just like the craft and dedication behind every model in this channel. So in the meantime and in between time, that's another edition of Jet Scale Models. Y'all come back now, you hear?